Welcome back, students. Okay, hello. Yeah, I'm sorry for being little late. I'm sorry. Right, we'll proceed further. So last class, I suppose we saw till liberal theory of state, isn't it? Liberal theory of state. So we'll continue from that. I don't have a PPT now, so I'll take it. Next class I'll show the PPT. Right. Okay. So in liberal theory of state, sir, mobile phone. Sir, mobile phone for online students. Oh, right. In the mobile, huh? Okay. For online students, the number is 73059888226. Right. The liberal theory of state, we have two variants. One is liberal theory of state, the another one is neoliberal theory of state. I think we already seen what is a liberal theory of state, isn't it? So now we will go to the neoliberal theory of state. Okay. Neoliberal theory of state. Okay. What is neoliberalism? Can anyone brief me what is neoliberalism? It's a small variant of liberalism, as we know, but what exactly is this neoliberalism? What neoliberalism speaks about? Online students can also interact. So then and there you can message me. This is the number. What exactly neoliberalism speaks about? Anyone? Let's see. Neoliberalism is a kind of an idea that has emerged in the last part of 20th century, somewhere around 1980s and 1990s, which believes that market has the extreme capacity to solve most of the human problems. Write it down. Most important definition of neoliberalism is market has capacity. Okay, that is very, very important to understand neoliberalism. Okay. So neoliberals believe that there are so many human problems that we have, right? That is the reason, the very reason why the idea of liberalism came, then the idea of socialism came, and inside socialism you do have many variants, like you have Marxism, then revisionist Marxism, then you have guild socialism, the different kinds of socialism came to solve these human problems through politics, correct? But neoliberalism, it's a kind of a simple philosophy that was put forward by these liberal thinkers who believed that market has the capacity to solve all human problems. So essentially what you should be doing in a neoliberal economy, technically in a neoliberal setup, you should be boosting the market, okay, and all the institutions should run based on market principles. Okay, very, very important. See, you take a lot of courses like MBA, what they teach you about how economic individual or a rational individual, how to make decisions. Okay, that is all about market. Okay, how to make decisions. So all these institutions, neoliberalism believes that if it is based on market, then it solves most of the human problems. Simple definition of neoliberalism. So then, what could be a neoliberal state in practice? How could be all these things what I have told you already we have seen in neoliberalism. Okay, I have not told anything new now. Now what we are going to discuss now it is, what is the neoliberal state all about? What kind of a state these neoliberals wants to create? Neoliberals wants to create a kind of market state. A kind of market state. Okay. See, many times I have told you this. What our Prime Minister does today, what the different Prime Ministers of the different countries does today, what the President does today. Okay. They do what a general businessman does. Okay, they visit different countries, they host many businessmen of different countries, they host lot of meetings and say that our country is better for investment, so you come and invest in our countries. They try to tie up lot of economic partnership agreements, other free trade agreements, lot of other agreements been signed between, bilateral agreements are signed, multilateral agreements are signed between different countries. Right? In other words, in essence, we are trying to create some kind of a market state. Okay. So again, thinking back what we read in the neo-liberal state, liberal itself, inside liberalism we had two kinds of variants. What was that? One was a purely a police state, another one was a welfare state. Correct. Intermediately we do have an intervention state, forget it. Okay. But there are two more important states. One is a purely a police state, another one is a welfare state. Where the police state was a product of classical liberal era, whereas the welfare state is a product of positive liberal era, and this market state is a product of neoliberal era. Okay, so market state is a product of neoliberal era. Always remember this. So if it is a police state, it is classical liberalism. Okay, write it down, always keep this in mind. If it is a police state, it is classical liberalism. If it is a welfare state, it is a positive modern liberalism. Positive and modern liberalism. And if it is a market state, then it should be a neoliberal era. Neoliberal era. Okay. So simply I think we have understood what is a neoliberal state in practices. But this is point of view of one thinker. There are different ways of seeing a neoliberal state. There is another way of seeing a neoliberal state. How does this neoliberal state exactly work? Right, online students, then and there you can discuss with me. Okay, right, how does neoliberalism exactly work? See, you know, neoliberalism is a product of a historical era, correct? It came somewhere around 1980s and 1990s, correct? 1980s, already many times we have told Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, all these people are extremely important. What is the specificity of this neoliberal era, guys? Anyone, with respect to economics also, already you would have read through economics, Indian economy, or you would have some knowledge about economics, someone from the economics point of view also. What made neoliberalism a specific era in political economy of the world? Okay. Globalization, that is one good thing, otherwise purely in economic logic. Can anyone tell me from the purely economic logic? What made this neoliberal era? See, neoliberalism, as he pointed out, came in a zone where globalization was picking up. Everyone said globalization is the next big thing. Okay, even though the trade, the kind of primitive globalization is not new. Even in 2000 years ago, we traded across countries. Okay, we traded with Greece. Greece traders came here. Our traders from India went to Greece, and everything was there. But what made this neoliberal era or this globalization era of globalization so special was the pace with which the globalization was done. Okay, the agreements that was signed. But what made it possible? What was not there before, and what economic logic that suddenly came in the world's political economy which made neoliberalism the norm of the day? Can anyone just think? We have discussed about Keynesian economics, right? Do you remember? Okay, when I took liberalism, okay, what made people took welfare state? Okay, why welfare state was a little bit more famous? What made modern liberalism the norm of the day in 1930s and 1940s is because people started to believe in the concept of John Maynard Keynes' Keynesian economics. Okay, what happened is, slowly after 1960s and 1970s, another economic theory or a theory of political economy became very famous in world. What is that? Any idea? Very good. It's monetarism. Okay. So for the very first time, the basic logic of Keynesian economics was broken down. See, the basic logic behind the Keynesian economics was why John Maynard Keynes made the welfare state possible was there were many people before John Maynard Keynes like Karl Marx and all other leftist people or the so-called leftist liberals inside liberal ideology who said that poor should be helped. Okay, but none of the capitalists or the rich men were ready to help the poor. But for the very first time, John Maynard Keynes proved mathematically and economically with logics and theorems that your rich would be saved only if you save the poor. The concept of aggregate demand started to come. The concept of purchasing, all these things started to come. Why you have to help the poor and why you have to, the government has to take lot of activities when the aggregate demand is down. So all these concepts started to come because of Keynesian economics. John Maynard Keynes for the first time proved that if the rich person have to guard their riches, all the wealth that they have done, okay, all the wealth they have earned all these years, then all the poor should not go below the level of poverty line. If they go very below, then there will not be any purchasing power with the poor. If there is zero purchasing power with the poor people, then they will not buy any of the goods that you have created. Then the aggregate demand will be zero. The economic logic. Even if you do not understand, don't worry. So this is a kind of an economic logic that John Maynard Keynes proved it. Okay. So what happened in world is around 1930s and 1940s. Okay. So around 1930s and 1940s, John Maynard Keynes proved that if you have to take care of the wealth, then the poor should not go very below the poverty line. So what happened? Lot of welfare activities started to come. Okay, all the government started to do lot of welfare activities. What is the very motto of these welfare activities, guys? It is not to help the poor people, not just because of democracy. Other thing is they also thought or believed in that Keynesian economic logic that if all the poor people go below the poverty line, then the world will go into a depression. The world will go into a depression and there will be a bigger economic depression all over the world. So their wealth will also be lost. You understood? Any doubt here? Please raise your hand. Did you understand? So what John Maynard Keynes proved for the very first time is the world is in depression. The world is in depression and all of us are losing our wealth. This is because there is no purchasing power with the poor. The poor do not have any money in their pockets. So the 80% of the people are poor. They don't have any money in their pockets. If the poor people do not have any money in their pockets, they will not buy any of your finished goods. Okay. If the poor people do not have money to buy your finished goods, there will not be any demand for your goods. If there is no demand for your goods, the depression will not solve. So the world will go to eternal depression. That's a kind of an economic logic that John Maynard Keynes gave. So what happened after that is people started to concentrate a lot on fiscal policy. That will be in Indian economy. What is a fiscal policy? What is a counter-cyclical fiscal policy? What is different kinds of fiscal policy? All these things you will be reading it, right? So people started to concentrate a lot on fiscal policy because of this logic of political economy of John Maynard Keynes, right? What happened during this neoliberal era in 1980s is 1980s and 1990s, just before that, probably some 10 years before this era, 1970s or 1969, this is where the concept of monetarism started to come. Who gave the concept of monetarism? Milton Friedman. Okay, Milton Friedman. So, Milton Friedman, okay, this is not Thomas L. Friedman who wrote the book The World is Flat. This is a different Milton Friedman. He is a Nobel Prize winning economist. Okay, if I say Friedman, many people will relate to Thomas L. Friedman who wrote the famous book World is Flat. This guy is not that guy. He is Milton Friedman who started or gave the concept of monetarism. Okay, see, I am trying to explain the European scenario during that time. okay, so that you understand neoliberal state a little bit better. Okay, so European scenario at that point of time, even the world scenario at that point of time was a concept of monetarism came, and the monetarism asserted that what this fellow John Maynard Keynes said is necessarily not true always. Okay, so what is most important thing for maintaining a balanced depression-less economy is the concept of money supply. That is what you will be reading in your economy, Indian economy, that all these variants like what is M0, M1, M2 money and how do you calculate, what is the reserve money, all these things you read because of the concept of monetarism that was given by Milton Friedman. Okay, so Milton Friedman proved theoretically that whatever John Maynard Keynes said about aggregate demand need not be true always. Need not be true always. So you maintain only the money supply of the economy through a federal bank like a Reserve Bank of India, then the economy could be maintained without depression. You got it? You got it? So what is the world scenario, how it has changed? John Maynard Keynes said, if you have to come out of the world depression, if you have to take care of your wealth, you have to help the poor. So all the rich people, all the capitalists accepted to help the poor. Okay, they wanted to transfer money to the poor, so they accepted to be taxed more, so they accepted all the welfare activities that was taken by the welfare state. You understood? But Milton Friedman came, he told that not necessarily. Whatever John Maynard Keynes said is right. There is also another economic way by which you can solve it. What is it? It's called as money supply. So you have to maintain the money supply to the federal bank. So if you maintain the money supply, even though you need not transfer any money to the poor people, still the world will not go to depression. You understood? So now all the rich people thought, then why should I help the poor people? All these 40 years or 50 years, all the rich people were ready to help the poor people. Why? Not because they wanted to create a welfare state, just because they were self-interested to take care of their own rich, all the wealth they have accrued all these years. Now Milton Friedman came and gave economic logic that you need not help the poor, but through the concept of money supply we can still maintain a world without depression. So the total world started to think otherwise. So they started to go to a new economic logic where now you see a lot of austerity measures have come. Lot of austerity measures. Now everyone is rolling back. The total state is rolling back. Correct? See, they are not doing any welfare activities in a neoliberal state. Okay? No country today is ready to do a welfare activities. Even in India, you will be knowing many other schemes which was there, helping schemes which was there in the 1980s and 1990s is no more. Now we have very minuscule schemes, and even those schemes, if it is working, we will say it is not working. Even now the latest government want to take away the MNREGA. Okay, the reason what was said because of this very logic. See, now even World Bank or an IMF would put a condition that it should not help a poor a lot. The subsidy should not be huge. A lot of subsidies would not be given. This is nothing but a neoliberal logic. You are living in an era of neoliberalism. Why we are living in this era is because of this concept of monetarism, which says that you need not help the poor. Even without helping the poor, you can safeguard all your wealth. You understood? So this is the scenario that we are living. So in this scenario, we have a kind of a neoliberal state. Okay, again coming back to the same idea. Okay. Now hope all of you would have understood what is the context with which this neoliberal state I am going to analyze now. Okay, the context is the world now starts to believe. The world is believing now. What the world is believing? The world is believing that you need not do a lot of welfare activities. Okay, you need not do a lot of welfare activities. You just take care of the money supply of the economy. Even then, the economy will not go into depression, and all your wealth will be guarded. So now, all the rich people are not ready to be taxed heavily. Okay. So all the bigger countries like America, the rich people of America or the European countries, they are not ready for them to be taxed heavily. So what happens now? Okay, so neoliberal kind of a state where lot of welfare activities are reduced. Okay, this is the first point. Lot of welfare activities are reduced. Stringent austerity measures were started. Okay. This is the neoliberal era, but few analysts say the very concept of neoliberalism is state should not do lot of activities, rather which should do lot of activities? Market. Okay, so state should do lesser activities and what should do a lot of activities? Market. Think about the earlier era. What was the thing was done by state? Everything was done by state. Food security, state does. Public distribution system, state does. Unemployment allowance, state does. If you are ill, the state give you insurance schemes and other schemes for free. Okay. So everything the state will help you. State will give you medical help, state will give you unemployment help, state will help you free food. You understood? So lot of activities that was done by state before the neoliberal era. So the neoliberal era came and said state do not do all these activities, and which should be allowed to do all these activities? Market. Understood? So market should be doing most of the activities of state, what they called as rolling back of state. Okay, rolling back of state. Write it down, this is again a very important technical term. Rolling back of state. Okay, so neoliberal era is not just about a market state, it is also about a rolling back of state. Did you understood? Okay, rolling back. So why they call it as rolling back of state? Before the neoliberal era, in a welfare era, the state was doing a lot of activities. The state was doing a lot of activities, right? From everything you have a state will give you, the state will procure all of your goods and the state will give it to you back when it is needed. All activities were done by state. Even Indian state now is doing a lot of things. Probably it will be stopped probably in 10 years or so. Okay, because India is 100% not a neoliberal state, is moving towards a neoliberal state, I would say. Already Europe and other countries are already a pure neoliberal state, right? So the concept of rolling back of state. State is not doing a lot of activities. So the activities of the states are reduced very much. Similarly, how the classical liberal era wanted a state to be. You remember what the classical liberal era wanted a state to be? A kind of a police state. Okay, but they also want to be a kind of a police state, but at the same time we promote a market a lot. That is the reason we call it as a market state. So this neoliberal state is both a market state, at the same time it rolls back and wants to become a police state. Are you understood? Understood. Any doubt in this case? Any doubt? Any doubt, ask me. I want every one of you to understand this better. Okay. That is what they believe. Okay, if you ask me opinion, I would say no. Okay, but what neoliberals believe is yes, markets can solve, it has the capacity to solve all the problems of the human beings. Okay, only thing is you have to believe in market and the way by which market is organized. You have to organize all the institutions based on market. Education institution. Earlier welfare era, the state will give you a lot of free education. Today the neoliberal era would say no free education, not required. Education system should be based on market principles. Simple. Okay. So everything, all institutions, forget all institutions, healthcare. Okay. Why should the state should give free insurance? Why the free medical insurance? I mean, why the state should give free medical help? Nothing. Stop everything. Build everything based on market principles. So they believe everything, if it is built upon market principles, then there is a solution to it. That is a simple idea behind this one. Okay, online student has commented. Okay, right. Also put your name in front of it. Okay, this is what a neoliberal status. But there are also certain commentators, what they try to paint as, even though this neoliberal era speaks about market state, even though this neoliberal era speaks about rolling back of state, in other words, reduce the activities of the state, rolling back of the state. In essence, in neoliberal era, the state has enlarged, says commentators. The state has enlarged. Okay. What they say is, why the state has enlarged? There is a theory to it. What they call as a concept of Leviathan state. A concept of Leviathan state. What is this Leviathan? See, this Leviathan, it's a kind of a sea monster. Okay. Anyone wants to say something? It's a kind of a sea monster. Okay. This concept of Leviathan, or the metaphor of Leviathan, was first time put forward by Thomas Hobbes. Okay. Thomas Hobbes, all these things will come back. Okay. I have not taken Thomas Hobbes' philosophy for you. We will come back. Thomas Hobbes paints something about a Leviathan, a sea monster, which after eating all the animals there will become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay. It's a kind of a sea monster which has the capacity to enlarge. Okay. This is a kind of a creature, a metaphorical creature which was created by Thomas Hobbes in the 15th and 16th century for explaining a classical liberal era, probably some era before classical liberalism. Okay, we will see a little bit later. These thinkers, neoliberal thinkers, wanted to use the same metaphor and take the same concept of Leviathan and says that state in a neoliberal era becomes a sea monster, or it becomes a Leviathan. In other words, it enlarges after encompassing all the institution without such knowledge. Why? The concept, why? The reason is, they say, since lot of welfare activities have stopped, okay, we think that the state machinery should reduce, but in practice, since lot of welfare activities have stopped and lot of market activities have started, okay, the state machineries, the number of bureaucrats has increased in all countries. This is some kind of a real analysis they did. So what they understand is, today the number of bureaucrats in every country is higher than some 20 years ago because of neoliberalism. And they say one simple reason for the increasing of number of bureaucrats, one simple reason is the psychology of the bureaucrats that is there. Because we organize everything based on market principles, everyone wants at least 2% to serve them. So what they do, once they become a manager, they appoint 2 or 3% as their clerks. So automatically the state machinery enlarges. Did you understand? So the state machinery enlarges. Okay. In other words, the welfare activity of the states have rolling back of the state, but the machinery of the state has enlarged. Okay, this is the contradiction that you see in a neoliberal state. Understood? What is the contradiction that you see? Also write it down. What is the contradiction that you see in a neoliberal state where the activities of the state has rolled back? Okay, they do lesser activities. They do lesser activities than a welfare state. Okay, but the state machinery is higher today. The number of bureaucrats, what is state machinery? The number of bureaucrats. That is what a state machinery is all about. Police is a state machinery. Collector office is a state machinery. Metropolitan office is a municipality office is a state machinery. You understand? All these are things are state machinery. So, analysts, what they are saying is, after the world has adopted neoliberalism, we are seeing a phenomenon where the state machineries are increasing. It is enlarging like a Leviathan, like a sea monster. The state machinery is enlarging like a sea monster. it is enlarging itself. Okay, but the rolling back of the state, that is the activities of the state, is also getting reduced at the same time. That's a kind of a contradiction. Okay, so one side the machinery enlarges, the other side the activities reduces. Got it, guys? Okay, this is what a neoliberal state is all about. Okay, so in liberal theory, I am trying to say you, like again I will say it, like in a liberal theory we already saw two variants. One is of classical liberal era, another one is of modern liberal era. Classical liberal era we saw about a police state, and a modern liberal era we saw about a welfare state. Okay, it's a liberal theory. And a small variation of the liberal theory is a neoliberal state. A neoliberal state is predominantly a market state. We can also call that as a Leviathan state, because the state has a capacity to enlarge itself. The bureaucracy has the capacity to enlarge itself, even though there is a rolling back of state activities. In other words, they do minimum function with maximum number of bureaucrats. Got it? They do minimum function with maximum number of bureaucrats. This is what a neoliberal state is all about. Okay, according to many analysts. There are many, neoliberal state has been analyzed by many analysts. I have only given 3 important points of view about the neoliberal state. Okay, so if it is a 200 word question, this is enough. Okay. There are many analyses also. Many metaphors have been used. Different thinkers use different way of understanding a neoliberal state. Okay, but these things are enough for us. This is enough to understand how a neoliberal state functions. Okay, any doubt in this case? Online students also, any doubt, message me. Okay, any doubt in this? Yes, please. Influence of the state machinery in what zone? In market it has decreased a lot. Okay, but in what zone? Certain zones you definitely would have increased. For example, the state machinery zone in foreign affairs, it increased a lot in a market economy, because earlier the state machinery will not be promoting a market. Correct? The government will not be going and promoting your own country, or you will be saying to every businessman across different countries that we have lot of spaces, start business here. All these things will not happen. So in that area the influence would have increased. In certain areas the state machinery would have reduced, the influence would have reduced. Okay, so we cannot put it always it has reduced. Okay, some areas it has increased, but what we can say is definitely the bureaucracy has increased, but the activities has reduced overall. Okay, right. Any other thing, any other doubts? Always remember this, these catchwords never forget. Police state, welfare state and market state. These catchwords never forget. All 3 different variants of liberalism. Okay, there are 3 variants of liberalism, 3 different states that is created. In case of neoliberal state, we can also call it as a Leviathan state. At the same time, it is also market state. Okay, this contradiction you have to understand very well. Okay, right. Now we will proceed to the next concept of state. Again, a small variant inside the liberal theory. Okay, what we call this as pluralist theory of state. Pluralist theory of state. What is this pluralist theory of state? Okay, pluralist theory of state. As we already discussed in the liberal theory, okay, just an extension of the liberal theory, nothing new that again we are going to discuss it here, just an extension. What it says is state is one among the institution. State is one among the institution. Okay, there are many associations. State is also one among the association. Pluralism, pluralist theory. Okay, But the only difference here is, in the pluralist theory of state is, even though state is one among, okay, it is one among the different associations. There are different associations, different associations, okay, human associations you mean, right? Probably there will be a football association, there will be a medical association, or a housing board association, or other welfare associations. There are different associations, different NGOs. And state is also one among this human association. State is an association of human beings. Okay, we form the state. But the only difference between this state and the other human association is, the state has the monopoly of power in controlling all other associations, in essence. But in a typical pluralist theory, it will go and say that the sovereignty is compromised. The sovereignty of the state is compromised because of other associations that is there. Okay. A typical pluralist theory would say. So they would say the state not always could exercise the real sovereignty in all cases. Okay, what is sovereignty? Sovereignty is the exclusive right to rule the territory and its people. Not always. The legitimacy would not be there, the allegiance would not be there, and it acts only one among the associations. This phenomena could be seen very easily in foreign countries. We people, Indians, might not understand it. Why is because we have only one citizenship. Okay, Indian citizen, for example, you cannot vote in any other country's election. Okay, that is the reason we cannot understand this pluralist concept better. But for example, in America, if you want to vote in American election, you can vote in American election. If you want to vote in a South African election also, you can vote in a South African election. Okay, I know a person who votes both in American election as well as in South African election. That's a contradiction. He decides, okay, he is a part of an association, nothing but state of America as well as of South Africa. Okay, he decides the president of America. At the same time, he is also capable of deciding the president of South Africa. You understand? But Indians cannot do it. If you vote in India, you cannot vote in any other country. If you vote in any other country, then you become a citizen of that country. You don't have rights to vote in India. Other rights you will get. But as a voting citizen, you will not get it. Okay? But for other people, not for all countries, it is like that. So, ideally, for taking the same example, that friend of mine is a member of South African state and also a member of American state. Correct? Is a member of both states. So where his allegiance would be? Where his allegiance would be? Technically it will be nowhere. Because those people understand state is only one among the association. Okay, I can be a member of medical association, at the same time I can be a member of, for example, if I am a doctor, and at the same time I can be also a member of say a Tamilian association if I am a Tamilian. I can be a member of some other caste association if I belong to that particular caste. I am a member of some religious association if I belong to the particular religion. Correct? You can be a member of many associations. Similarly, this person is a member of US State Association, at the same time he is also a member of South African State Association. Understood? That is how those people think. So for them, state is something not completely concrete or which could monopolize everything. Okay, that is one among the association, that's it. If I am in America, if I want certain rights, I vote my own legislator, I vote for US Congress or Senate, I vote for US President so that I can select them, that's it. I have the rights here. I go to South Africa, I also have certain rights in voting, certain rights will also be there. You understood? That is how they see state. Okay, the concept of pluralist theory of state. State is just an association. It is not that something extremely monopolizes so that we have to be extremely obedient because I am an Indian citizen. My complete allegiance should be the state. Not like that for the most of the European countries. You understood? Okay. Their allegiance will not be there. They will think that, okay, it is one among the association, I vote for this country for certain rights. Okay, if I am part of the association, I vote for certain rights. If I am also part of another state, I vote for certain rights. That's it. Okay. The pathetic story is certain people can vote in two countries and certain people cannot vote everywhere. We also have stateless citizens. Okay, right. This is what a pluralist theory of state is all about. There is another variant inside the very pluralist theory of state. Again, this is a pure liberal variant. Already we have seen it. What it is? What is politics in a typical liberal tradition? What is politics in a typical liberal tradition? Anyone? A typical liberal tradition. What is politics? Reconciliation of interest, isn't it? See, liberal tradition believes that it is very natural that different people have different interests. So, politics or the role of the state should be a platform which compromises, which creates or compromises between different interests. Correct? Liberalism is all about. It's about compromise. This pluralist theory of state goes to an extent and says that politics of a state should be to compromise the interests of different groups of people. I reiterate the same example which I told to explain the liberal nature of politics. You have one agricultural group, okay, a peasant group, or an agriculture labor union. Okay, both will have their own ways of doing agriculture, their own interest. Okay, so what is the role of a state in a pluralistic understanding? They call all the groups forward. Okay, and they bargain. Okay, they bargain. Every group bargain to the state. So state is nothing but a mediator. You understood? State is nothing but a mediator. It mediates between whom? Between whom? Different political groups with different group interest. Okay. So state is one among the association. Okay, there are different groups which try to mediate, and state is an association which acts as a mediator between different competing groups. Based on what principle they mediate? Based on what principle? Principle of typical utilitarianism. Correct? Where, say for example, this group of people has 5,000 votes and this group of people has 50,000 votes. Okay, and both have completely opposite interests. Where the state will incline? Towards 50,000 votes. It is so simple. Otherwise, they cannot win the next election. Okay, that is the reason now every association is trying to show that they have more than 50,000 cadres, 1 lakh cadres. See, why for every caste they are starting a party? Why for every religion they have a party, or every small subcaste also they have a party, and they show we have so much of membership in this caste association, so and so forth, and they try to bargain with the government for any caste tribes or reservation or any other subsidies for the particular caste or something, special treatment of the particular caste or group of tribes or something like that. They try to show we have so much of people. It's a kind of a vote bank politics. In other words, the different groups, okay, everyone tried to pressurize the government, and get the things done in their favor, and government or the state acts as a mediator. Okay, it acts as a mediator, gets all the group interest, and based on simple liberal principles, it mediates. Most of the time, it mediates based on utilitarian principle, as we told. Okay, because if you have more number of votes, there is a tendency for the state to incline towards the more number of votes. Okay, right. So this is the another way of understanding a pluralist theory of state. Okay, so the simple logic behind this, see, don't confuse with the pluralist theory of state with that of political pluralism. I will come to the political pluralism when I take democracy. Okay, see, what is polyarchy, what is deformed polyarchy. Okay, that is also very much part of pluralism. But right now this is not a place to discuss about political pluralism of Robert Dahl, where the same thing, all these things what I have told is also what Robert Dahl has said. Okay, who governs? The state as a mediator. Everything Robert Dahl has said, but he went to an extent, it took to a next level and spoke about something called as polyarchy. And he spoke to a next level of what is called as deformed polyarchy. All these things becomes very much part of the concept of political pluralism developed by Robert Dahl. Okay, that thing we will discuss in democracy. As of now, in political, even for your exam, if political theory of state is asked, don't discuss about Robert Dahl's political pluralism or polyarchy or deformed polyarchy, don't discuss it. Okay, that will be a wrong answer. Okay, you have to discuss only this. How state is one among the associations, how state acts as a mediator between different group interests. Okay, so that is what you have to discuss based on a utilitarian principle in most cases. If you want to add to it, if you add, otherwise you can also stop it, because not always state decides on utilitarian principles. Okay, most of the time based on vote bank politics they tilt towards, that's the very idea behind liberalism. So you tilt towards utilitarian principle, maximum gets maximum things, right? Okay, this is what a pluralist theory of state all about. Any doubt in this? Any doubt? All these things guys, all these things that we have discussed now, purely based on liberal understanding. Okay, the liberal theory of state, classical liberal theory of state, the modern liberal theory of state, the neoliberal theory of state, all the pluralist theory of state, everything comes under one basic understanding that is called as liberalism. Okay, liberalism. Okay, so inside liberal platform we have seen different variants guys. That's it. Any doubt in this? Any online students, any doubt? Okay, inside liberal platform all these things come. Okay, now we are going to move away from the liberal platform to the Marxist platform. Okay, again inside Marxist platform, again we do have two concepts of state that we will see now. Okay, any doubt in this liberal platform or any doubt in this liberal understanding of state, ask me now. All the four things: liberal, I mean classical liberal, modern liberal, neoliberal, and then comes the pluralist conception of state. Any doubt in this? Right, now we will go to the Marxist understanding of state. Again, inside the Marxist understanding of state, you again have three ways of understanding. Okay, can anyone point something? Already all these things guys we have already taken. Okay, when I took Marxism, okay, all these things have been discussed, but I have not discussed it extensively. Now I am going to discuss it specifically to the question. Okay, last time I discussed holistically about Marxism. Now specifically we are going to deal the question as such. Immediately after listening to the lecture, you can write the 200 words. 200 words you can easily write it if you could remember it. That's it. So that is why all these things already we have taken. So anyone can you recollect the Marxist understanding of state? Inside that the three variants. Any one variant if you could recollect. Online students, last time I couldn't read it on time, now we will read it on time. Anyone? Yes. All forgot Marxism. 8 hours I took, isn't it? Almost 8 hours I took Marxism guys. Almost 8 hours. Divisions of what? See, state, that is something that comes after the socialist state has been created. Okay, tell me how Marxist understood the capitalist state. Okay, how in general Marxism understands state in general, because we are not living in a Marxist or socialist era. Okay, that comes only when the socialist era comes into being. So when Karl Marx gave the theories of analysis of state, he gave that in a capitalist era. Okay, so in that context, Marx said about 3 ways of understanding of state. Anyone, if anyone could recollect it. Yes, please. Waiting for answer. Online students. Sorry? Formation of communes. Again, sir, all these things comes after what you said is socialism and communism, where small communes has to be established and every commune has to be self-autonomous. All these things are right. But in a capitalist state, a capitalist society, how Marx understood state, that is something I am asking now. In a capitalist society, how Marx understood. Always remember this, guys. Always remember this. What is the base in Marxist theory? Economy is the base. Materialism is also a good answer. But economy is the base. What everything comes in the superstructure? Everything else comes in the superstructure. So where is state? Where is state? It is in the superstructure. You understood? I will put this way. Superstructure, where you have state. This is simple Marxist theory. If you can recollect the slides that I have shown, for Marx, what is the basic of human life? Economy. The way by which you produce your material life. See, the way by which you produce your material life. What is material life? Simple way, money. Remember money. Okay. For people who want simple words, but don't write money in the exam. You will not get marks. Okay. If you want marks in exam, write material life. Okay. For understanding, Marx always wanted to build his theory on basic things. Basic things. He doesn't want to build a theory of something called as liberty, freedom, which you do not know what is liberty, what is freedom. He wanted to build his theory on simple empirical fact, money. Okay. For living, everyone need money. Everyone need money. So money is the base, economy is the base. So how you earn money is the base. Okay. Your economic life. Your economic life is the basic life. You understood? So how you earn money? So state is nothing but your political life. Culture is your social life. So all these things, that is not your basic, but part of superstructure. Your political life, the social life, all of the cultural lives, everything is part of the superstructure. What is the base? The economic life. You understood? What is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this? Your political life would be based on your economic life. Your political life would be based on your economic life. It depends upon. Okay. If you are a son of a laborer and you are a laborer, you are a laborer, you don't have any money, you are a very, very poor person, then what you can do in politics? In Marxist theory, you can do nothing. In Marxist theory, you can do nothing. Who controls politics? In Marxist theory, who controls politics? The people with money power. That's it. Simple. I am telling for simple understanding. Instead of using complicated terms like capital, material world, because some people find it a little bit complicated. So for your simple understanding, I am using simple words. What are simple words is, Marx said very simple in his concept of political economy. What is the simple concept? Who controls the economic life? If you are a poor person, typically you will also be underprivileged in your political life. You can only vote. You cannot be a MLA or an MP, or you cannot become president. You can only vote. Okay, because that is what poor can do. Okay, so the total political life, who controls? The businessman controls. The rich people controls, said Marx. You understood? So the rich people control the total political life of this world. Okay, the business people control the total political life of this world. The capitalists control what Marx called as ruling class. You understood? Right? So these are the people who rules us, ruling class. Who are the ruling class? The people who control the economic means of production or the mode of production. Okay, simple. Okay, if you are the poor, if you are underprivileged in your economic life, you will also be underprivileged in your political life. So state is part of superstructure. That is one understanding of Marxist state. State is part of superstructure. Part of superstructure. Dependent upon. Dependent upon the economic base, which is nothing but the mode of material life in the society. That's it. This is one way of understanding Marxist concept of state. One way of understanding Marxist concept of state. Right. So state is part of superstructure. It's part of a superstructure. It do not have any independent existence like how the liberals claim. Like how the liberals claim. What the liberals claim? State is an association. Correct? Association which every one of us are part of. Correct? You vote, you decide your leader, like how in association decide. Correct? That is what the liberals say. State is an association. Like how you have a medical association, student union, or you have a housing board association. Similarly, state is association where you come in member of and all can vote. And who wins, he becomes the leader of the state. Correct? But Marx says no. No. State is not an independent association. It is an association which is dependent upon the economic association. Everyone can become a member of association. All of us are members of Indian state. Correct? All of us vote. All of us vote. But can you stand in election? Can you win? See, think. Only very few times in Indian history, you have no person, probably a person who from nowhere would have come and become a political master. Very few times you can say. Last time it has happened, I would say it happened with Kanjiram. Okay, I won't consider Aam Aadmi Party's Arvind Kejriwal as a no man who came from nowhere. Arvind Kejriwal already was an officer. Okay, you cannot consider that. Okay. Sorry? Politically, but economically he was powerful. Okay, that is the very theory says. So Kanjiram, probably the last time in 1980s, probably we could say a real revolution happened where he came. Otherwise, a Dravidian movement in Tamil Nadu. Again, that is way back, 1940s and 1950s. Okay. Otherwise, you cannot face 50 years Dravidian parties control Tamil Nadu, and only their son, their daughter becomes next MLA, MP, Chief Minister, Prime Minister, also with India. Nehru family is controlling. Okay, now dynastic politics also come in BJP, started to come in BJP. You have Amit Shah and you have a Jai Shah. You do not know what happens tomorrow. Okay. So, this kind of dynastic politics is everywhere in India. Okay, people can control the economic power, invariably control the political power. They don't let a common people to come up in life. That is what Marx said. See, you might argue, state is an independent association, but in practice, what works? In practice, only with the people with the money power controls the politics. Okay, you know, okay. When the Congress government was there are different set of businessmen were controlling Congress government. Okay. Now there is a different set of people are controlling the BJP government. Only the set of businessmen has changed, but independently whether people have ruled, I don't think so. Okay, it is only the businessmen who have ruled, but the set of businessmen has changed from the Congress to the BJP. Same with the Dravidian parties here. Again, who rules? The Dravidian party is a typical combination story. They do business, they also do politics. See, the control of the total business empire is the Dravidian parties, the same DMK, and the total political empire also, because they have so many sons, so many lineage. So everything they control. That's a different story. Okay. So that is how we have to analyze what Marx has analyzed. Only people with the economic power can control the political power. In other words, politics is only part of superstructure, dependent upon the economic base. That's it. You understood? Any doubt in this? Any doubt in this? Marx's concept of state, or otherwise Marx's concept of political economy, the anatomy of civil society has to be sought in his political economy. Say Karl Marx. If you have to understand a society, Marx says, then you have to understand how politics and economics is intertwined in the society, says Marx. That is what anatomy of civil society has to be sought in its political economy. Okay, how politics and economics. If a person is a landlord, whether he is controlling any political post, invariably, if you go to any village, bigger landlords will be village presidents. Okay, if there is any reserved constituency or something like that, you might find a laborer becoming a village president, but the real power would be wielded not by the president but by the landlord. In most of the reserved constituencies, especially women, Dalit, all these constituencies, you can find this phenomena. Okay, or even forget the village president, the block president. Okay, everywhere, who will control that area's landlords or that area's any industrialist, if he is there. They will be controlling even the market. Okay, all the market of the area, agriculture market, especially agriculture market. Okay, and at the same time they will also be controlling the politics. That is what Marx said. You have to analyze the society, civil society. What you have to do? You have to go and see how the politics and economics are intertwined. That is the basic. You understood? Okay, this is one way of understanding Karl Marx theory of state, Marx's theory of state. Another way is also very, very close to the same way, but with a little bit of difference. Okay, this point of view was put forth by Ralph Miliband, a neo-Marxist. Okay, very, very good book. If anyone is interested in Marxism, read the book called as Marxism and Politics. Most of my quotes which I use in class would have been taken from that book. It's a very excellent book. I loved reading that book, Marxism and Politics, written by Ralph Miliband. Okay, so Ralph Miliband says Marx has floated another notion of state. What is the notion is, which is also true to a greater extent, state is an instrument of oppression. State is an instrument of oppression. Okay. State is an instrument of ruling class. Of course, to oppress people or laborers, okay, proletariats or working class, whatever you can put it. State is an instrument of oppression. Okay. So, Karl Marx says, what is the state? For Marx, state is nothing but an association of capitalists. That's it. Not like how liberal thinkers thought. It is not association of all the people. No. It is actually an association of, state is an association of bourgeoisie. The very word that Marx has used in Communist Manifesto. So, state is an association of bourgeoisie to take care of whose interest? Bourgeoisie is nothing but capitalist. For anyone who have doubt what is a bourgeoisie. Bourgeoisie is nothing but capitalist, also called as bourgeois. Okay, right? Capitalist. So, state is an association of capitalists to take care of whose interest? People's interest. For capitalist interest, for the interest of the bourgeoisie. Interest of the bourgeoisie. Write it down. This is all these things are very, very important when it comes to Marx's understanding of state. State is an association of bourgeoisie to take care of the interest of the bourgeoisie. That's it. All us who don't have money power, all those laborers, poor people, without any capital power, okay, we are only spectators, okay, we are ready to be oppressed. Who is going to oppress us? State. So, the ruling class will use state as an instrument to oppress all of us. State is an instrument of oppression. You got it? The ruling class will use state as an instrument. That's it. So, as the liberals say, state is not an association of all the people for all the people. No. State is the association of the bourgeoisie for bourgeoisie. What are the interests the state defends? The interests of the ruling class, of the bourgeoisie, of the bourgeois, you understood? Of the capitalist. That is the interest that they are defending. You are thinking that they are going to put rules for you. That is what we think, right? We think that Indian state is bringing lot of welfare activities for our benefits. They are not bringing these welfare for your benefits. They are bringing these welfare activities for the interest of the people who control the state. Who controls the state? The capitalist. The businessman. They control. The Ambanis and Adanis, they control. For the interest of the Ambanis or Adanis or all the businessmen that is there in India. I am giving you an example. Okay. So, for the interest of all these people, the state is putting certain rules and regulations, but it will mask very well in such a way that these activities, these rules and regulations are put for commonwealth's welfare. You will think that state has started this rule, this law for our benefit. No. It is not the truth. Why? State itself is an association of businessmen, capitalists, bourgeoisie. It is not your association, says Marx. See, if it is their association, what they will do? They will only defend their interest. So, what is my role? you should be ready to get oppressed. They will use state as an instrument of oppression, nothing else, to oppress you. But the only beautiful thing is you yourself do not know that state is oppressing you. That's the beautiful thing. You accept it. You give legitimacy to the oppression that is given by the state. You understood? Okay. All these things is nothing but already we saw the base and superstructure concept. Only thing is a little bit of difference, with a little bit of difference. Okay. Again told by Marx, but Ralph Miliband writes it specifically. Everyone, there was a debate among the neoliberal tradition, what is the exact state? Okay, there was a bigger debate between Nicholas Paulensas and Ralph Miliband. Okay, these two neo-Marxists has a bigger debate between themselves. Nicholas Paulensas is also a Marxist theoretician, at the same time Ralph Miliband is also a Marxist theoretician. So both of them had a bigger debate among themselves about what is the role of the state. Well, Ralph Miliband asserted that state is an instrument of oppression. State is an association of bourgeoisie. Well, Nicholas Paulensas and others, especially Louis Althusser, floats another concept of state, which we will see a little bit later. Okay, right. So, in a typical Marxist theory, state is part of superstructure dependent upon our economic base, and state is an association of the capitalist and the bourgeoisie which defends the interest of the bourgeoisie, Okay, state is an instrument of class oppression, is an instrument of class oppression, is an instrument of capitalism, it is an instrument of bourgeoisie, and it is an instrument of class oppression. That's it. Right. Any doubt in this? Ask me now. Online students, any doubt? Ask me now. Right. I hope, please read Marxism again and again. I am telling you, liberal notion and Marxist notion, if you understand, the total political theory is over. Total political theory is over. If you understand what is liberalism, you understand what is this part A paper, you can get excellent marks, I assure you. Okay, every other thing is only a one word this way or one word that way. Okay, it is all about the basic concept is same everywhere. Okay, that small variation we can put it anyway, we can understand. See, all these classes we can make that ready, but basic concept you have to understand. Okay, next time when I ask you about Marxism, I want many answers, guys. Okay, so this is what I go again and again I will be telling you. Again, when it comes to Marxist notion of freedom, again I will be asking what is Marxism. Okay, when I come to Marxist notion of justice, Marxist concept of rights, again and again I will asking you the same question. Say liberal concept of rights will come, a liberal concept of justice will come. Okay, inside liberal, neoliberal concept of justice, where you will be discussing about entitlement theory, all these things would be there. Okay, so and inside that typical modern liberal concept, John Rawls theories, all this, everything will come under one liberal understanding. Again and again I will asking you the same thing. What is liberal politics? What is liberalism? What is neoliberalism? What is Marxism? You understood? This is basic. Okay, that is the reason I took ideologies first. Okay, any doubt in this? Right. Now we will go to the next notion. I go to the next notion of Marx's understanding of state, which Marx calls relative autonomy of the state. Right. Relative autonomy of state. In other words, it is also called as relative autonomy of superstructure, a philosophy that was put forth by Louis Althusser. Okay, Louis Althusser, another neo-Marxist. Okay, relative autonomy of superstructure, but this concept of relative autonomy of state is also extremely evident inside Marxist writings itself, writings of Karl Marx, especially this could be seen in 18th Brumaire of Bonaparte Napoleon, that book written by Karl Marx. That is where first time Marx floats the idea of relative autonomy of state. What is this relative autonomy of state? Any guesses before I go into it? Any guesses? Any guesses? See, not a big deal, guys. The statement itself says the answer. Think a little bit. UPSC aspirant must know to write something out of nothing. The statement itself says relative autonomy of state. Okay. Any guesses? Anyone? The statement itself says the answer. You have to think a little bit. What is the earlier notion of state? Why none of us are thinking today? Think. What is the earlier notion of state? The earlier notion of state said that state dependent upon economic base. Correct? So, there was a notion that was floated. If I depend upon you, can I have an autonomy? It says that I depend upon you, then can I have autonomy? So always I am dependent, or sometimes I can be autonomous. Where what is autonomy means? Where I can make my own decisions. Correct? So in the earlier Marxist notion, state was dependent upon economic base. It was not autonomous. It cannot make its own decision. The state cannot make its own decision. Why it cannot make its own decision? Because it is dependent on economic base, economy. But there is a question that comes for discussion, whether state can make its own autonomous decision, independent of the businessman. The earlier notion said the businessman control state, correct? So whatever the decision that is taken by the state is the decision of the businessman. Correct? So a discussion whether Marx has said about anything about in these situations, state can be autonomous. Okay, it can make independent decisions without the concern of the businessman. Either Marx has said anyway. Okay, yes. Okay. In 18th Brumaire of Bonaparte Napoleon, that book, Louis Bonaparte. Okay, 18th Brumaire, Louis Bonaparte. That book, Marx has asserted about a concept of relative autonomy of state. You have to understand, Karl Marx is not just a philosopher, he is also a kind of a political scientist. He was a journalist and also a political scientist. He analyzed the second Bonaparte, Napoleon, who ruled during Marx's time in 1840s and 1850s. Okay. So after analyzing his rule, Marx has said, in the rule of Louis Bonaparte, the second Napoleon as they call it, that fellow, everyone submit. The capitalists also submit. The working class also submit. They submit to whom? A rifle butt. Understood? So the rifle could control all other classes including the capitalist class. Okay. So Marx has said not always the state will be dependent upon the economic base. There are certain situations where state becomes relatively independent. And makes its own decisions to satisfy its own needs. You understood? Okay. So Marx has cited the example of Louis Bonaparte. Louis Althusser says, this phenomena happens everywhere. Especially in democratic states and especially during elections. Okay, you always see a phenomena. Forget this DMK government. Okay, I am not saying something about this government, but related to all governments in Tamil Nadu. Okay, first 4 years, what they will do? They will satisfy the businessmen of Tamil Nadu. Last 1 year, they will make policies to get the next time vote back. So lot of welfare, now they have stopped many welfare activities. Okay, they will start everything just 1 year before elections. So first 4 years, the state will be dependent upon the economic base. Last 1 year, state will be independent because it has to take care of the state for the next 5 years. Always it happens in all democracy. Think. Okay. All democracies work that way. Last 1 year they start to give many welfare activities. Immediately all the Ambanis and Adanis, all the businessmen are forgotten because the election is coming. Election is coming. See, that is also one of the reasons many people why they say one state, one election is a wrong notion. Why it is a wrong notion is, if one state, one election comes, only once in the 5 years, these people will do some kind of welfare activities. At least because now different state election is happening. For example, West Bengal election has come now, other election will come. You understand? Different election come. Gujarat election right now come. So, probably at least the central government will do some kind of welfare activities. At least. Because many elections are coming. So, at least to cater to the needs of the people, they have to be independent to help the people. Otherwise, if the election is coming only once in 5 years, then end of day. Consider all elections come only once in 5 years. All election. All state elections, all elections. So, next 5 years you don't have election at all. Then for 4 years, both the central government and the state government, the total all state machineries will serve the ruling class. There is nothing but the bourgeoisie and the capitalist. And the last 1 year they will be independent, relatively autonomous to serve its own people because we are the members of the state, ideally. Okay, so we serve ourselves for only 1 year. That's it. Okay, the concept of relative autonomy of state. Sometimes the question might come this way: critically analyze the concept of relative autonomy of state. Then you have to write the example what I have told, without saying the name of a political party. If you want, you can say, it's up to you. Okay. Unfortunately, if the person who is correcting comes from a BJP or the DMK, then I cannot achieve you marks. So, for this critical answers, avoid the name of the political party and write the point. Okay, if you want to critically analyze, what Marx has said is right, relative extent. So, all state depend for first 4 years, they depended upon the economic base. They serve the businessman. We have seen many examples in our own practice in India. And the last 1 year, we see the state is relatively independent of the businessman and the capitalist, and they serve the people. Okay, because the people are the state, basically. Technically, people are the state. So it becomes relatively autonomous. And again, once the election is won, go back to the same theory where you start serving your businessmen. Because why they start serving the businessmen? Because state itself is the association of businessmen. State itself is the association of businessmen. State itself is the association of capitalists. So ideally, they have to defend capitalist interest. So this critical analysis you can give. Okay, if you want to. If you want to take the other way also, you can do it. Okay, either way you can do it. But I am giving an example. If the question is critically analyze the relative autonomy of state based on current practice or something like that, or justify or something like that, then you can give this example. Yes, it works. You got it? Okay, so this is what a relative autonomy of the state concept that was put forth by Marxist thinkers. Okay, so I will sum it up. Marxism, inside Marxism also there are 3 variants of understanding of state. All are closely interrelated. First variant is state is part of superstructure dependent upon the economic structure of the society or economic base. Okay, that is the first way of understanding state. The second way of understanding, state is an instrument of class oppression. It's an instrument of bourgeoisie which defends bourgeoisie interest. Okay, that is the second notion of state. The third notion of state is, in certain situations, any state will be relatively autonomous. For example, Louis Bonaparte state was autonomous, and in the hands of rifle, every class, all class submitted, and a democratic state. During the time of election, the state is relatively autonomous in a democratic state. Only during the time of elections. Okay, otherwise the state goes back and becomes an instrument of class oppression. Understood? These are the different ways of understanding Marxist notion of state. Any doubt in this, guys? Any doubt in this notion, concept? See, again and again I am telling you, all these things are very, very, very easy if you understand. Okay. Anyway, my lecture is there. Also, again and again you can see it, correct? Okay. If you read a book or any concept, all these things I will suggest read only from the 375 pages which I have compiled. That is very good. Okay. Or else for the PPT also I will give you. This actually I have this. Okay, I have not brought it. Okay, I give you this particular part. I have better notes. My PPT will be much better. Okay, so you can read that also. Anyway, you can use it. You will understand much better. But you have to read it immediately. Within a week, if you read it, you will never forget it. I'll tell you. Very, very easy concepts. But without lecture, like again you try to read something, then it will be a little bit difficult. Okay, see my lecture, read it, by hearted. You will remember for life. Okay. Right. Any doubt? Online students? Online students, yes, one question has come. It was deleted. Okay. Now we will go to the another concept of state, which is called as post-colonial view of state. Post-colonial. This is also a Marxist variant. Okay, this is also a Marxist variant. This post-colonial view of state was put forth by many people, but the most famous person is Hamza Alavi. Okay, the most famous person is Hamza Alavi. Right. The post-colonial view of state. Right. What is this post-colonial view of state? Again, I am going to ask every one of you to think. Okay. So now you have to think a little bit harder to think, but I want everyone to think. Now go back to the colonial state. Okay. Marxist analysis of colonial state. Do a Marxist analysis of colonial state. Do it. Now from that Marxist analysis come to a post-colonial state. What is post-colonial? You got independent. Okay. There was a colonial state. For example, consider India. Britishers were controlling India. India got independent in 1947. Now India became a post-colonial state. So do a Marxist analysis of British India, and after independence, what could be India's character of India's state? Simple to think. Okay. So think how during the British times what could be state. Do a Marxist analysis. Okay. India got independent. Now what could be the state? Marxist analysis. Then you get the answer of post-colonial view of state. Anyone? Any guesses? Think. I want my students to think. Political science is a very easy subject. When you actually think, you have to interact with the subject. Okay, very simple. Just now I told you Marxist understanding of state. Think. British India, Marxist understanding. What is the Marxist understanding? Base, superstructure. Correct. There will be capitalist who will be controlling the state. No doubt in this. This is Marxist understanding. So what could be the base? What could be the superstructure? Economic base, What is the superstructure? The laws, rules, regulation, state machineries, correct? These are superstructure. Laws, rules, that is what the politics is all about. Dependent upon what? Sorry? Very, very good. It is based upon, not based on Indian economy. See, you have to understand. It's not based on Indian economy, because who is controlling India then? British. So, it is going to defend the interest of British capitalist, not the Indian capitalist. Correct? It is going to defend British capitalist only, not Indian capitalist. Correct? Point number one. What is the other more important role of a colonial state? Think. What is the more important role of the colonial state? Why a colonial state could be there? Why Britishers wanted a state to be there in India? Sorry? Material? To take away all the material wealth. Let us put it this way. To take away all the material wealth of Indian people. In other words, to oppress the Indian people. Okay. So tell me this. Control the market also. So tell me this. If your main motto is to control the people there, then the machinery will be large or small. The main motto is to control the people. You want all the people have to submit to a rifle. Then you have a bigger police force or smaller police force? Technically you have a bigger police force. Right? Everything you have bigger. So the colonial state was bigger. Because what was the more important role of the colonial state? It is to oppress all the indigenous classes. Who control the colonial state? The British capitalists or the metropolitan capitalists. They control the colonial state. The state was an instrument of oppression of all the indigenous people. State was the association of all the British or colonial bourgeoisie, capitalist. What interest the state defended? The interest of the colonial, you understood, or the interest of the British capitalist. Suddenly India became independent. Suddenly India becomes independent. Now, what will happen to the state machinery? Immediately it will roll back. Is it? Okay, someone else said something. Very good. Excellent point. Let's come there a little bit later. Excellent point. My question is only on the state machinery now, as of now. The question is very simple. The state machinery already is very bigger. Okay, bigger, because in the colonial times, what is the role of the state machinery there? It is to oppress the indigenous people. So you have a bigger state machinery. Now India became independent. Whether the state machinery will reduce or not, it will not reduce, because now the democracy, India became democracy, and immediately Jawaharlal Nehru and the Indian democratic people inherited the state machinery. It will not reduce. So Hamza Alavi says, you have an overdeveloped state over the economic base. Understood? Generally, state is just a reflection of the economy base, just a reflection. But in state of colonial, post-colonial states, this state machinery is based on colonial economy. Now the economy has changed. Okay, all the British capitalists were gone. India is a primitive economy, primitive economy now. A very, very small economy. It is not as big an economy. But the state machinery, the police force, the army, the Britishers left, will be very powerful. You understand? But our economy will not be that developed, says Hamza Alavi. Okay. So you have a concept of overdeveloped state. Overdeveloped state. Why it is called as overdeveloped? Why it is called as overdeveloped? In a Marxist theory, a state will be, the development of state will be exactly related to the development of economic base. Okay, I will put it very simple for your understanding. If the economic base is 10, the state power is 20. Okay, this is for Britain. In America, the economic base is 20, then the state power should be 40. Ratio would be maintained. Will be based on the some kind of ratio. But in case of post-colonial states like India, okay, it will not depend upon a simple ratio, whether the economy will be 1, whether the state machinery will be 100. It will be overdeveloped. Why it is overdeveloped? Because it is inherited the colonial legacy, the missionaries, the police force, the army, which they have left. Did you understand? Which they have left and went. Okay. Suddenly the police force, for example, Nehru became Prime Minister of India, and you have a bigger police force, okay, and 1 lakh people are there. Suddenly can he say, okay, today for India we don't need 1 lakh police person, so I am going to unemploy you. All 50,000 people resign. He will not say. Prime Minister will not say. All 1 lakh people will be there. So the structure of the police force, everything will be there. Okay, but it will be overdeveloped. Okay, this is one point. The next point is what he has said. Okay, so our indigenous capitalist will not be developed to control the state anymore, because state is overdeveloped. State is overdeveloped, our indigenous capitalists will not be controlling the state. So there will be alliance between our indigenous capitalists and the capitalists of Britain or the metropolis. Okay, metropolis, I am using the word metropolis, which is also Marxist terminology denoting the colonial state in our context. Okay, metropolis also means colonial state in this context. When I come to the dependency theory, or when I come to the other theories, I will explain you. In international relations, I will take you dependency theory, and I will also take you world system theory, where I will give you another explanation of what is the metropolis is. Okay, as of now, understand, to denote a colonial state, I am a colonial master like a Britain or a Spain, I am using the word metropolis. Okay, as of now, understand that. Okay, let us not jump, then you will not understand. Okay, so as he has pointed out, since our economy is not that developed to control the state, because state itself is overdeveloped, there will be unholy alliance between our indigenous capitalists and the already exterior colonial masters, the capitalists of the colonial masters, which is nothing but Britain in our case. Okay, and Hamza Alawi goes to another extent and say, because the state is overdeveloped, there is another party to this alliance, which is nothing but military bureaucracy. Military and bureaucracy. Okay, military is the essential part of state machinery, that is developed, overdeveloped here. Bureaucracy is the essential part of state machinery, that is overdeveloped. So in other words, see, you have to understand, Hamza Alawi has analyzed this based on Pakistan and Bangladesh and Burma to an extent. Okay, what is the specific feature of Pakistan, Bangladesh and Burma? Exactly, military rules and military coups, where military is very strong. Understand? In Pakistan. So that is the reason Hamza Alawi has come with this concept. So he wanted to analyze why military is very, very strong in Pakistan. You understood? Hamza Alawi wanted to analyze why military is very, very strong in Pakistan. He came with the concept of overdeveloped state or post-colonial state. He says that this military is a reflection of colonial state, colonial economy. You understood? This military is a reflection of colonial economy. Once Pakistan became independent, the state machinery was very, very big. The military was very, very big. The bureaucracy of Pakistan very, very big. But the capitalists of Pakistan were not developed to control the state. So the military of Pakistan, the bureaucracy of Pakistan, along with the indigenous capitalist Pakistan, plus the British capitalists, all controlled the Pakistan state. Said Hamza Alavi. The concept of overdeveloped state. You understood? So he comes with a simple philosophy. In a colonial time, the state is nothing but a reflection of the economy, and it also has another function to oppress all the people. So it has a bigger state machinery. Once the independent, it becomes the colony becomes independent. In a post-colonial state, the state machinery is very, very big. The indigenous capitalists is not that developed, so they have an unholy alliance with the indigenous capitalists, with the metropolis capitalists, plus the military, plus the bureaucracy. Military, bureaucracy, oligarchy, says Hamza Alavi. Okay, military, bureaucracy, oligarchy, bureaucratic, oligarchy. So Hamza Alavi says another rule. What is that rule? The state assumes. Second rule is that. First rule is overdeveloped state. Second rule, he says, the state assumes autonomous economic functions. Place in India. What happened during the Nehru times and Indira Gandhi times? We were using import substitution techniques, isn't it? India was very, very close to socialism. Very, very close to socialism, state socialism. The state was doing everything. Business is very less. No one can start business. They can start business, but they have to go through some 300, 400 screening processes to start a business. So no capitalist will be interested in doing a business. So all industries were done by public sector enterprises. Correct? Many public sector enterprises. So state was assuming all roles, all economic roles, and sometimes state also does, the third point, ideological function also. Moral policing, that is what you have to do. How in Korea it happens, North Korea. The ideology of the people is being shaped by the ruling class. They decide. Here also that is what is happening, but we understand that in the name of democracy, they do the same thing in the name of dictatorship. Forget it. Okay, so they also assume ideological function. The first two things was given by Hamza Alavi. The last one was given by a South African thinker. I forgot the name of the thinker. If I am not wrong, his name is Sazi. But anyway, I will confirm it tomorrow. Okay, right now don't take it. Okay, so 3 points of post-colonial state. First point is the concept of overdeveloped state. The second point is the concept of state assume all economic function, and the third point is state assuming all ideological function. Okay, so the third point is not given by Hamza Alavi. It was given by a different thinker. I forgot his name. Okay, I will tell you tomorrow. Right. Okay. So this is what a post-colonial state is all about. So simple analysis, guys. This is a Marxist way of understanding state. A Marxist way of understanding state. You are not going too much into it. A simple analysis of state. Okay. So what is a simple analysis of state? How Marx would have said, state is a reflection of economic base. So colonial economy is bigger. So technically the state should be a reflection of it. It will be bigger. Apart from that, there is also a new role to a colonial state. What is the new role? It has to oppress all the indigenous people. So in case of Pakistan, Britain has to oppress all the Pakistanis. In case of India, Britain has to oppress all the Indians. So technically, the state machinery of India, the state machinery of Pakistan will be bigger. Police force will be bigger, military will be bigger, they will be having a very, very strong military, strong police. You understand? Everything will be very, very strong. Correct? But suddenly India became independent, Pakistan became independent. Suddenly they became independent. Now the independent capitalist, okay, because in a Marxist thought, what is the Marxist thought? Capitalist control the state. Now the independent capitalists do not have any capacity to control the state because state is overdeveloped. So who control? Our capitalist of Pakistan or capitalist of India, plus the capitalist of Britain, plus the military of Pakistan, plus the bureaucracy of Pakistan, or the military of India plus the bureaucracy of India. This analysis is generally based on Pakistan, Bangladesh and Burma. Okay, basically Hamza Alavi not analyzed India. Okay, so this military bureaucratic oligarchy is controlling the state. This is point number 1. So point number 2 is simple. Since the state is overdeveloped, okay, since the capitalists do not have any say in determining the state, so technically the state will assume a lot of economic functions. Okay, because the capitalist is not developed, they are very, very premature. Since they are premature, the state will assume all the economic functions. Point number 2. Point number 3, certain conditions, the state will also assume ideological functions. Okay, they will say this is how the people should live, all moral policing will happen, ideology will they shape the people, okay, towards the very which way they want. Okay, understood? This is what a post-colonial state will do. Okay, this concept was put forth by Hamza Alavi. That's it. Any doubt in this? Post-colonial, everything as you would have understood by now has a beautiful linkage, a very beautiful linkage. Okay, liberal, again everything only one way here or other. If you think all are same, okay, one way here or other it changes. So always understand this as a logic, as a flow. Don't understand this as independent compartments. Don't mug it up. Okay, then you will forget it. Okay, understand logically. All the other 4 things which I have discussed comes from liberal platform. The Marxist and post-colonial comes from the Marxist platform. The Marxist platform, there is only one rule. What is the rule? You already know. Base superstructure, instrument of oppression, relative autonomy in certain cases. That's it. So applying the same concept in post-colonial, you have another dimension. Okay, liberalism, again the different variants of liberalism. Classical, modern, neoliberal. So one creates a police state, another creates a welfare state, another creates a market state. That's it. And there is also another notion called as pluralist state, where state becomes a mediator between different competing groups, and it is also one among the association. The simple example is the example of my friend, where you can vote in both South African election as well as the US election. So where his allegiance would be. So state is nothing but one among the association, where allegiance need not be to one state, because it is one among the association. That's it. Okay, understand everything very logically so that you will never forget. Okay, don't mug it up. Okay, any doubt in this? My online students. Okay, PSIR Manasa, very good. She has said about state machinery will come under Indian capitalist. Hope now you would have understood it, Manasa. Right. Any other doubts? We'll stop it here. Okay, we will come tomorrow morning. It's 8:30 to 10:30 because we did not have slot in the evening. We will also continue with political theory tomorrow. Okay, because for that I have to create a PPT which I have not done. So we continue with political theory tomorrow, 2 hours. Okay, I would recommend you to read and come so that tomorrow at least you could answer me. Right? Okay, guys. Online students, tomorrow 8:30 in the morning. Thank you.